I was about 12 and one of my dad's mates introduced me to a PlayStation game called Music, and then they later brought out Music 2000. So that was basically the very first step for me, and I knew that I was hooked after that. It was a very simple sequencer with all pre-made loops, drum samples and vocals and stuff that you just arranged on a page. Basically, it was almost a game, but it was so much fun. I used to record them to tapes and take them to kids' birthday parties, you know, because it was like I said, 12 or something. So friends were having parties in little social clubs, and they'd have a DJ sometimes, and I'd take the tape and say, "Oh, you play this." And it led on from there, really. Went onto the computer and got something called EJ. Again, very, very basic stuff, but it was just slow progression, you know. I was so young, I didn't really know what I was doing, or I just knew I enjoyed doing it. So later got introduced to Reason, which spent years on that and recreating my favourite tracks. I was really into trance music. So I used to sit and recreate Adagio for Strings and Robert Miles' Children and stuff on there. Yeah, and so I've still got the files, actually. The beauty of Reason is because there isn't any third-party plugins, everything still works. And so, you know, it's funny seeing them back, programming all the guitar patterns and stuff. And then moved on to Cubase, and the production side of it slowly just progressed, teaching myself, really. Because none of my friends were into it, so it was just something that I really buckled down with and got on with. I ended up getting a few agents ringing me up and saying, "Do you want to join?" And then management followed, and then so it was quite a natural progression, really. I did hold off with the management thing for quite a few years because I just didn't want. I felt quite comfortable with dealing with things by myself at that stage until things got busier, you know, remix requests started coming in, and I needed some extra advice from somebody who knew what they were talking about. Yeah, I think sometimes it's quite easy to feel the pressure after having some big releases that have done pretty well, to sort of live up to that. And it can be quite difficult to take yourself out of that mindset and just reset and don't try and force anything, basically. Just let the music come out naturally, because that's how the first ones came out. So I think if you try too hard, that can show in music sometimes, you can hear it. Yeah, I ended up getting a remix offer from Ellie Goulding, so I did a remix for her, for Chase and Status. So some kind of like commercially successful people, which did lead to the opportunity of the original Got a Feeling getting signed to Sony. So the commercial route was sort of put on a plate to me, but I turned it down in the end because it's just not the way I wanted to go. Well, this still does happen. I don't think anyone's ever going to get away with this, like writer's block, as they call it. But there's a few ways to try and deal with it. One of them is just take time out and relax, have a break, go for a walk and get some fresh air and stuff. Basics things. When you feel ready to go back into the studio, if you still don't have an idea of where to start, just playing around on synths. If it's soft synths, fair enough. If you've got hardware, then great. Because that in itself is very inspiring and can create happy accidents and mistakes that sometimes sound pretty good. I used to, in my old studio, it was actually wired up wrong because I didn't really know what I was doing. So I had a mixing desk with the Chaos pad, and I used to get these crazy feedback loops, but some of them sounded amazing. So we just recorded all that in and chopped things up. If you've got pieces of equipment or pieces of software, learn them inside out. Don't necessarily go for the latest version of every single synth because it's not necessary. Once you can learn one thing and once you can use one piece of software or hardware inside out, you can do anything with it. Don't just copy people. Try and forge your own style, learn your craft, and you will eventually naturally create a style for yourself. with your workflow, with the pieces of equipment that you're using.